Hello and welcome. Tonight, Nigeria Labour Congress threatens to boycott planned meeting with the federal government on Monday if the Minister of Labour attends the meeting. President Bola Tinubu receives German Chancellor, who is on a two-day visit to Nigeria in company of high-ranking German business people. Gunmen invade Taraba communities, kidnap Catholic priest and two others, while 15 bodies are recovered after a boat capsized in the state. And doctors and Palestinian Red Crescent in Gaza raise concern over Israel's warning for them to evacuate a key hospital in Gaza City. The Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, is threatening not to go ahead with a planned meeting with the federal government if the Minister of Labour, Simon Lalong, is part of the government delegation. NLC President Joe Ajaero, who gave the NLC's position while briefing journalists in Abuja today, says the Congress is taking such stance because the minister has not demonstrated enough commitment to the plight of workers. The NLC president also threatened to begin statewide protests across Imo State beginning from November the 1st this year over what it describes as the violations of the rights of workers.
More workers have died of hunger, sickness, degradation than those killed by unknown gunmen in Imo State. The state government has killed more workers who have not been paid their salaries and wages for 44 months, and they classify them as ghost workers. So we don't have any other thing to fear. We may meet tomorrow with the federal government, all things being equal, on their report and template, whether all those issues have been met in the last 30 days, if I understand you. If that meeting holds without the Minister of Labour, because he will not be present in any meeting with us, because you asked that question, and you have 3W, and some of you were present after the meeting, and the decision was that all parties and police should leave there while we look at the issue. It has not happened, and he's from behind. So any meeting the federal government calls today with the Minister of Labour in attendance, that meeting will not hold. You can't meet with him, and you have noticed of late that meetings are no longer called at the Ministry of Labour because he's not in control. Therefore, to depend on him for resolution on issues taking place in about labor is to waste our time.
Meanwhile, the National Industrial Court sitting in Owerri, the Imo State capital, has extended an interim injunction restraining organized labor from embarking on any kind of strike in Imo State. The court further ordered the Nigeria Labour Congress and Trade Union Congress not to embark on their Occupy Imo March until the next adjourned date. Justice Nelson Ogwaya gave the order after hearing the submissions of the Attorney General of Imo State, Cyprian Akolisa, who approached the court to grant an extended interim order against the defendants in view of their fresh threat to embark on strike in the state. Their argument was hinged on an affidavit by which the first defendant, the NLC, by a letter dated October 16, 2023, is currently mobilizing its members from the southeast and south-south for a strike to occupy Imo from November the 1st this year. After hearing from both counsels in the suit, the court granted the order restraining the defendants from embarking on any strike in whatever guise, warning that any disobedience of its order will attract consequences. More reactions have been greeting the judgment of the case between the federal government and the PNID, where a London court has turned down demand for Nigeria to pay $11 billion in fine. Former President Muhammadu Buhari, who is the latest to react, is hailing the judgment, which are described as worth the struggle. Mr. Buhari, who was the president in the heat of the legal battle, in a statement, says Nigeria was a victim of a monstrous fraud and was at the verge of losing $15 billion. The statement posted on his X account reads in part, "Had Nigeria lost, it would have required schools not to be built, nurses not to be trained, and roads not to be repaired on an epic scale, to pay a handful of contractors, lawyers, and their allies for a project that never broke ground. The former president described the case as an attempted theft of historic proportions. He makes a case for transparency, lamenting how much the country loses when fraudulent contractors sue the country and claim damages. According to Mr. Buhari, we need better contracts in the public and private sectors, and we need greater transparency. The reality is that had PNID not conjured up quite such an outlandish ransom, they may have found themselves in the same place as the myriad of other invisible contractors who all too often quietly take Nigeria for many millions in out-of-court settlements. He prefers stern sanctions for Nigeria's public officials who have been proven to connive with foreign criminals to defraud the country. Armed men suspected to be kidnappers have abducted one Reverend Father Thaddeus Terembe of Wukari Catholic Diocese in Taraba State. The clergy was kidnapped in the early hours of today, Sunday. A statement from the spokesperson of the Catholic Diocese says the priest was abducted in his parish at St. Anne's Parish, Sarkin Kudu in Ibi local government area of the state. In a similar development, 2 persons are reported to have been kidnapped in Gulum axis of Jalingo, Taraba State capital, and their personal belongings taken away. Residents say the kidnappers stormed the house of their victims and took them away to an unknown destination through a bush path. Elsewhere in the state, a boat conveying over 80 passengers have capsized in Karim Lamido local government area. Eyewitness accounts say the boat capsized in Bineri community of Karim Lamido while traveling on the Benue River on Saturday evening. A source in the area told Channels Television that few minutes after the incident, 3 bodies were recovered and 12 others not long after, bringing the bodies recovered to 15. He disclosed that the ill-fated boat was returning from a fish market in Mayorneo community of Adokola local government area before the incident took place. A female lecturer at the Department of Biochemistry, Federal University of Technology, Minna in Niger State, Dr. Adifolalu Sherifat, has been found dead in her residence. The lecturer was seen lying in a pool of blood at her residence in the Baiko area of the town. The incident was confirmed to Channels Television by the chairman of the school's academic staff union of the university, Professor Bolari. According to Professor Bolari, the lecturer's body was discovered when her church members traced her home after she was not seen during service. The Niger State Police Command's Public Relations Officer, DSP Wasiu Abiodun, also told Channels Television that 2 knives with blood stains suspected to have been used to stab her were recovered from the scene. According to the report, some residents who forced the door to her house open met her lying on the floor in a pool of her blood before her body was moved to the mortuary by police operatives. The late Dr. Adifolalu was said to have lost her husband, who was also a professor with the same university, and was until her death living with a female domestic help whom she laid off just last Friday. The Katsina State Police Command, in collaboration with the military, have rescued 4 kidnapped victims who were abducted at different locations in the state. The rescue operation, conducted on Saturday during a routine patrol along Dankolo village in Dandume local government area of the state, was aimed at ensuring the safety of lives and property of the people of the state. The police spokesman in the state, ASP Abubakar Sadiq Aliu, in a statement noted that the victims, after undergoing medical examinations to ensure their well-being, have since been reunited with their families. He adds that the Commissioner of Police in the state has commended the professionalism displayed by the collaborative team during the rescue operation. He emphasized that the fight against all forms of criminality in the state continues with unwavering determination and vigilance. The CP further encouraged the people of the state to remain vigilant and promptly report any suspicious activity or individuals to the nearest police divisional headquarters. The Northeast Development Commission, the NEDC, has reiterated its commitment to support states of the region to reconstruct and rehabilitate infrastructures destroyed by the Boko Haram insurgency. The chairman, Governing Council of the Commission, Major General Paul Tarfa, disclosed this when he led the NEDC delegation on a courtesy visit to Governor Mai Malabuni at Government House, Damaturu, the state capital.
By Boats cheers. Officials of the Northeast Development Commission first arrived at Arikime Primary School, Potiskum, one of the most populated schools in Nigeria, with over 20,000 school enrollments. Mr. Chairman, sir. Next was the inspection of classrooms and administrative block at the newly established mega school at Potiskum, as well as inspection of the ongoing housing units at Damaturu and Buniyadi. The managing director of the commission briefs the team on the idea behind the projects.
The governor is trying to link these two towns over time. It's only about 2.5 kilometers from here. Okay. So when we conceived the idea of the mega school and the housing estate, he directed that we should build a mega school in between the two big towns so that they should be able to decongest the two towns, and this place will become very, very convenient for something.
At the government house, Damaturu, the chairman, governing council of the NEDC board, explains the purpose of their visit and pledged to support the government in its recovery process.
The purpose of our coming is to visit all the project sites that we have in the state and to tell you how far we have done, and also to liaise with you on issues and areas that this state will still demand of the Commission.
The Yobe State Deputy Governor will receive the NEDC officials on behalf of Governor Mai Malabuni, sought for the reconstruction of tertiary institutions vandalized by the Boko Haram insurgents.
We had a college of agriculture in Gunjuba, where the Boko Haram went and slaughtered almost 100 students in the night, burned down the hostels, the administrative block building, lectures, quarters, etc.
The team later inspected the construction of multi-purpose hall and ICT center at Yobe State University, as well as a water project at the Federal Polytechnic Damaturu.
In Edo State, Governor Godwin Obaseki believes that all hope should not be lost in the face of the present challenges in the country. He says he's confident that God is ready to rescue Nigeria. Mr. Obaseki, who was speaking as a guest during the Deeper Life Bible Church's Global Crusade in Benin City, the Edo State capital, thanked the church for bringing messages of hope to the people amid the difficult times. Governor Obaseki stressed that the younger generation need to be given the assurance of a better Nigeria through good governance, maintaining that his administration has always been committing its resources towards the welfare of the people of Edo State.
To the podium, as you call. They have brought Christ to us. They have brought hope to us. They have brought a fundamental message which is so relevant at this time to us. Because God is about to lose Nigeria so that Nigeria can fly. It's about to make Nigeria fly. We want to thank God for what he has done for us in Edo State. We want to continue to pray that even though things are difficult now, they can only get better. Our government is very, very concerned about you, and you know it. The little money we have, we will continue to use it for the mass of the people of Edo State. Whatever they do, we will not allow them do what they used to do in the past. We must give hope to our young people because they are our future. So I want to thank all of you for coming out to listen to the message of our Father in this crusade. The whole world is watching us, is watching Edo, and by the grace of Almighty God, the message that has been brought through this crusade, will save our land and will bring prosperity to us again.
In part two, after the break, Channels Television's in-house data analyst Babajide Ogunsanwo joins us tonight to discuss the country's economic outlook after the conclusion of litigations from the general elections. Please join us again. Welcome back. Just joined us. You're watching the news at 10 live on Channels Television Lagos. A reminder of our top stories. Niger Labour Congress threatens to boycott planned meeting with the federal government on Monday if the Minister of Labour attends the meeting. President Bola Tinubu receives German Chancellor who's on a two-day visit to Nigeria in company of high-ranking German business people. Gunmen invade Taraba communities, kidnap Catholic priest and two others, while 15 bodies are recovered after a boat capsized in the state. And doctors and Palestinian Red Crescent in Gaza raise concerns over Israel's warning for them to evacuate a key hospital in Gaza City. Earlier this week, in what can be described as the end of the tunnel for presidential election petitions, the Supreme Court brought to a close the uncertainties around who won the presidential election. Now that the political outlook seems to be more settled, the focus is on the economic outlook. Tonight, Babajide Ogunsanwo, founder of Leadership by Data and Channels Television's data consultant, is here to share insights about the economic challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. Great to have you on the News at 10, Babajide.
Good evening, Ayotunde.
Yes, all right, let's start off very quickly. Among the big economic stories for the week was the 26 trillion naira proposed 2024 budget by the federal government, and of course, the 1.9 trillion naira generated by the state as revenue for the year 2022. That was last year. So tell us, how significant are these numbers?
Ayotunde, these numbers are very significant. And that's because, remember, May 29, the president was sworn in. It's now 5 months after. And I'd like to start from this perspective. Remember, we presented this to
the president.
He hasn't yet picked it up, I think maybe because we're waiting for the Supreme Court's judgment. But he still has to pick this and hang it in his bedroom. And I'll explain.
Just to remind, okay, exactly.
Again, just to remind him about how significantly fast he needs to run.
By hitting the ground running, like we said the last time, based from the picture.
He needs to move faster than Usain Bolt, and I'll explain why. Between May 2023, 5 months ago when we presented this, and today, a lot has changed in Nigeria. And I'm not talking about the exchange rate or the cost of living, Ayotunde. In the last 5 months, 2 million babies have been born. Just in 5 months, Nigeria's population has increased by 2 million people. Children that are now looking up to not just their parents, are looking up to President Tinubu for help. And so he needs to keep that in mind about how quickly things need to change. I tell people right now that Nigeria actually needs 3 presidents, and that's what President Tinubu represents. Because the peculiarities of northern Nigeria are significantly different from the peculiarities and opportunities in southern Nigeria. And so President Tinubu now has to act as 3 in 1. And even the numbers prove it. Let's take a look at the difference between the north and southern Nigeria, especially if we take a look at what has happened in the last decade. It will allow us also understand that what is required in northern Nigeria is different from southern Nigeria. Ayotunde, let's look at what happened 12 years ago, based on the facts available from the National Bureau of Statistics. They say that in 2012, yes, the country generated, the 36 states generated approximately 580 billion in 2012. But Ayotunde, 82% of that money generated by all the states came from states in southern Nigeria. 82% of all revenue generated across all the states came from southern Nigeria. In the last decade, nothing significant has changed. Based on that last report you just talked about, the National Bureau of Statistics says that out of all the revenue generated by Nigerian states, 78% still comes from southern Nigeria. In other words, Ayotunde, here's why this is important. Northern Nigeria accounts for almost 80% of Nigeria's land. Northern Nigeria is where the gold and non-oil natural resources are. Northern Nigeria accounts for more than half of Nigeria's population. So in simple terms, Northern Nigeria really is Nigeria's resource headquarters. However, Nigeria's resource headquarters is significantly underperforming. You saw the numbers. Only 22% of revenue across all the states generated comes from Northern Nigeria. And so the president needs to have, and that's why I talk about a president for Northern Nigeria. The numbers shows that there now has to be a special focus on Northern Nigeria. Yes, it's the resource headquarters of the country. However, it's also the headquarters for out-of-school children, the headquarters for unemployment. And so
yeah, I was going to ask you that, so from the picture and from what we see there, how significantly different is the economy of southern Nigeria to that of northern Nigeria?
Again,
let's put that in perspective.
President for Northern Nigeria, we've seen the reason. Because of the challenges, it remains the same. If Northern Nigeria were to keep going at Ayotunde at the rate it is going in terms of revenue generation, Ayotunde, the fact shows that it will take 7 decades for Northern Nigeria to catch up to southern Nigeria in terms of internally generated revenue. You heard that right. It will take 7 decades. Now look at southern Nigeria. It also has its challenges. Foreign direct investment, most of the foreign direct investment comes into southern Nigeria. Look at the numbers in front of us. In 2020, for instance, 19.8 trillion naira worth of goods was imported into Nigeria. 98% of those goods came into Lagos and Rivers. In simple terms, almost all of Nigeria's import challenges comes from southern Nigeria. Goods come into southern Nigeria. Majority of those goods stays in southern Nigeria. In simple terms, southern Nigeria is Nigeria's financial headquarters, and right now, foreign direct investment challenges based on the facts from the NBS shows that even southern Nigeria has a financial problem. Northern Nigeria has a resource problem, southern Nigeria has a financial problem.
So very quickly, of course, the IMF wants, or the MF expects Nigeria's economy to grow by 2.9% this year in 2023. But of course, the president says he wants to achieve this by making the growth rate significantly higher. Very quickly, how can he achieve this?
Solutions. Let's take a look at the solutions. Let's look at the numbers. The president now needs to follow the numbers and stop just following the talk. And if we look at the chart of the week, the numbers explains everything. Nigeria's trend doesn't lie in government spending. It lies with the people. And so look at our growth between 2015 and 2022, looking at the economic growth, 17% growth, private household spending. Investments, looking at it from the gross domestic product perspective, 1%. Net exports is in red, declined by 16%. Government spending only by 9% has grown. And clearly, we've seen that within our economic growth between 2015 and 2022 has also grown by 9%. The fastest growth has come from families. So the key is for the president to improve the welfare of families. If you get Nigerians, Ayotunde, you and I, and a lot of the low-income, middle-income, and high-income earning families to spend more, to purchase more, that is really the key to economic growth, not the government spending and not any other thing. All those things, all those other factors will help, but the key number the president needs to look at is how well and how fast are Nigerians spending. Ayotunde, my time is spent.
That time spent and so much, and thank you so much again, Babaji, for your analysis there. Well, thank you so much again.
The pleasure is mine, Ayotunde.
President Bola Tinubu has declared Nigeria's readiness to partner with willing governments and investors, saying Nigeria has improved its business environment and is going through several reforms. The president made this declaration while meeting with the German Chancellor, Mr. Olaf Scholz, who is on a 2-day visit to Nigeria. Following discussions with President Tinubu, the Chancellor paid a visit to the ECOWAS Secretariat, where he also had a closed-door meeting with the ECOWAS President, Mr. Omar Toure. Our State House correspondent, Larry Lasisi, reports.
The German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, arriving at the presidential villa for an official visit. Is received by President Bola Tinubu and a delegation of ministers and other top government officials. After a brief closed-door meeting between the two leaders, they move into a bilateral meeting. The German Chancellor made clear their readiness to invest in Nigeria's power sector.
You know this, about 90 German companies are present in Nigeria today, and they have already created 17,000 jobs, much more to come if we are successful in the things we do. And this is the same with the Presidential Power Initiative that is at work since a long time now, and it would be a very good thing if we can now start with this implementing.
Following the meetings, the two leaders address a press conference and speak on their agreements, especially on Nigeria's gas potentials.
The LNG also to facilitate the shipment of liquefied gas to Europe is well discussed and in advance. We have an eye on this.
If there is a better chance for exporting the produced gas, for instance, to other places with enlarging the LNG capacities, as you mentioned here, I think this is also then a question for German companies to do their special private business and doing contracts with business companies here in Nigeria.
The German leader then leaves the presidential villa. His next stop is the Secretariat of the Economic Community of West African State, where he's received by the ECOWAS president. They immediately proceed into a closed-door meeting. After about 20 minutes, they arrive to brief the press.
Kurzum, die ECOWAS ist ein wesentlicher Player.
Speaking to an interpreter, the Chancellor speaks on the coups plaguing the region while emphasizing the need for economic investment to boost security cooperation.
When we look to the recent coups, for example, in Niger, it has been very important that we have this close cooperation with ECOWAS because we want to make sure that these military coups do not set a trend, but that this is something that can be stopped.
The German Chancellor is the first head of government among the top economies in the world to visit Nigeria under President Tinubu, and it's considered significant in the effort by the administration to woo more investors into Nigeria. Lanre Lasese, Channels Television News.
To politics in Kogi State, the African Democratic Congress ADC is asking residents of Dekina local government area to vote for the party in the November governorship election in the state in order to enjoy even development for the state. Addressing party faithful in Ayangba in Dekina local government area, the candidate of the party, Mr. Leke Abijide, says every part of Kogi State deserves equal opportunity for development. He also reaffirms his commitment to improve the welfare of traditional rulers in Kogi State.
Left, you can see
the campaign train of the African Democratic Congress is here to seek the support and blessings of the royal father, the AJ of Dekina. Reaffirming his earlier promise, the ADC candidate vows to improve the welfare of traditional rulers.
Whenever I invite them, I will not suffer them. I will not look down on them. I will not put them inside swamp. I will not bring them without provide accommodation. The best accommodation I will provide for them. I repeat again.
The royal father pronounces his blessings on the candidate and his deputy.
We pray, Almighty God, to our sons and daughters, let everybody be careful. No fights, no shooting of gun. Let each and everybody cast his or her vote for his lovely candidate.
From the palace, the campaign train moves to Oju, the hometown of the party's deputy governorship candidate. While asking for the vote of the electorate, the party promised to improve road infrastructure in the area.
This place produced a governor before, Governor Kwemi Kwobi. How comes your road is not done? In our time, within 1 year, this road will be constructed.
We are the first set of persons that one, they have a son who is a candidate as a deputy governorship candidate in the race. And secondly, that you have done tremendous work in your community and the first governorship candidate that has stepped his feet on our soil here.
Mr. Abejide displays his dancing skills as he takes his campaign to Ayangba community, also in the Kina local government area. He tells the people that he remains the best candidate for the job.
Something normally happens in Ayangba here. You don't normally have your vote in bulk. Even Ampa used to vote more than you. And in population, you are more than them. This time around, please don't fight. Gather all your votes and give it to ADC.
Mr. Abejide is promising to fix roads in the Dekina local government area within his first year in office.
The Academy of Medicine Specialties of Nigeria has reaffirmed its commitment to the promotion of overall health and health equity of Nigerians. At its third induction ceremony of new fellows held in Lagos, the organization said it is collaborating with the government on well-informed policy directions for the health sector.
The induction ceremony of new fellows into the Academy of Medicine Specialties of Nigeria brings together professionals in medicine, dentistry, and non-medical practitioners in related areas of medical sciences. President of the Academy of Medicine Specialties of Nigeria, Professor Oladapo Ashiru, reels out the achievements of the organization and why it's important to have new fellows championing its cause.
We have steadfastly offered invaluable, impartial, apolitical advice to the government on matters related to medicine, education, research, medical care, and public health. So was our involvement in the battle against COVID-19. Our stance on this matter underscores our commitment to advocating for the best interest in medical and dental professionals while upholding the highest standards.
Professor Akin Oshibogun.
With the theme, Mainstreaming of Health in All Sectors for Achieving Universal Health Coverage, the keynote speaker, Professor Akin Oshibogun, a professor of community medicine at the University of Lagos, shares his thoughts on the state of the health sector in the country.
As Adam Smith posited in his inquiry into the wealth of nations, poverty, though it does not prevent generation, is extremely unfavorable to the rearing of children. The tender plant is produced, but in so cold a soil and so severe a climate, soon withers and dies. That accounts for the high infant and under 5 mortality rates that we experience in sub-Saharan Africa. It has been estimated that 1/3 of deaths, some 18 million people a year, or 50,000 per day, are due to poverty-related causes. In total, 270 million people, most of them women and children, have died as a result of poverty since 1990.
The Academy inducts 8 eminent Nigerians who recorded landmark achievements in medical sector in the country and globally. This, it believes, affirms the vision of the Academy, which is to enhance the well-being of Nigerians through the promotion of medical education, research, medical care, and public health.
Women have been advised not to relent in their pursuit for excellence, even if it seems they are making impact in the society. There's much more to be done. This is a thrust of messages to participants of this year's Arise Women Conference in Lagos. The 15th edition of the annual meeting organized by Arise, a faith-based non-governmental organization, is dedicated to fostering nation building through the empowerment of women in society.
to me, Your Excellency. Tell yourself, celebrate yourself.
It is the grand finale of this year's Arise annual conference after a series of activities that had taken place before now.
Celebrate Your Excellency to your left and to your right hand side as well.
The annual event is a rallying point for women to celebrate womanhood and their achievements in the society. Songs of celebration and thanksgiving are not in short supply, with a handful of gospel artists leading the congregation. Inasmuch as women stand out today, they must not relent to do more. The convener of the conference, Shiju Iliyomade, puts it clearly.
Songs may hit, but it doesn't matter. The wind may blow in any direction. It doesn't matter. All you need to do all the time is adjust yourself. You must always win. There's boundless potential, and stepping up is really about self-actualization. You need to step up from wherever you may be this afternoon. Together, we must step up.
Pastor Atinuke Asegeme provides more insight to the theme, Step Up, to further encourage women to explore their strength.
Competition is a distraction because the enemy knows what we can do when we unite ourselves to make it happen.
This year's conference also has participants and speakers beyond Nigeria who also share their knowledge about how women can identify and embrace their uniqueness.
We're here to embrace our unique queenliness, our God-given queenliness that we all have within. We are nurturing. We have empathy. We have emotional intelligence, don't we? Does the world need that? It does. We are indispensable. But we need to realize something, that change begins within ourselves.
The organizer of the conference expects these words to keep resonating in the minds of participants as they take the celebration beyond these walls. More importantly, that the lessons from here should also be transferred to others. The need to support the growth of technical and vocational education in growing the country's workforce has come to the fore again as the School Old Students Association of the Lagos Baptist Academy donated a full-equipped vocational and technical education center to their alma mater as part of the commemoration of the 40th anniversary since they left the school back in 1983. The Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education, Jamiu Ali Balogun, applauds the gesture, which he says complements the state government's efforts at providing students with qualitative education.
The last time some of these men saw each other was 40 years ago when they wrote their final examination at the Baptist Academy in Lagos. Now they're back again, bearing gifts for their alma mater, which they say had a major impact on their formative years. It's a purpose-built vocational and technical education center which should help the student acquire and hone professional skills, especially at a time these technical skills are in high demand.
This purpose-built vocational training center, which we are dedicating today, is not just a building but a testament to our commitment to the future of education and skills development. It is my strong belief and a suggestion that a lot of funds can be attracted from the alumni associations and well-meaning Nigerians if tax reliefs can be granted to individuals who contribute to education, just like it is done for corporate organizations.
Vocational and technical education has become pivotal to the growth of any economy. As such, every effort towards supporting it must be appreciated and maximized. And the Lagos State government is on the ground to do just that.
As we stand on the threshold of a new era, let us dedicate ourselves to the cause of education. Let us resolve to provide every child with the tools and opportunities they need to succeed. Together, we can create a future where every young mind has the chance to flourish. In dedicating these legacy projects, we honor not only our shared past, but also to the promise of a brighter future.
The project is commissioned amid pomp and pageantry.
The world is moving now. It's not only in theoretical approach anymore. Practical, you must have something handy that you know how to do. You understand? And that's the major purpose. We have the carpentry, we have the electrical workshop there, we have the welding there, fully equipped.
Building a functional education sector cannot be left to the government alone. And there is no better way to demonstrate support for a school where one was nurtured than what these old students have done.
Comprehensive rehabilitation of the 11.8-kilometer third mainland bridge is set to begin on November the 1st for a period of 3 months. The Minister of Works, Dave Umahi, said this during his inspection tour of federal roads and bridges in Lagos State. The Minister of Works also reiterated that the comprehensive rehabilitation of the third mainland bridge would begin on November the 1st for this year.
It's the second time in 2 months that the Minister of Works, David Umahi, will be visiting Lagos on an inspection tour of federal infrastructure. The third mainland bridge is yet in focus as rehabilitation work is imminent. Having inspected the top surface and lagoon portions of the bridge, which the minister says have been badly impacted by patching and excess asphalt over the years, he says repair work will now begin on November 1st.
The third mainland bridge has a number of stages. The first is the deck, to restore the integrity of the deck and then put up the aesthetics of the deck. And then the second one is to look at the deflected sections of the slab. The third is to look at the piers. The fourth is to look at the pier cap coverings, pie cap coverings. The fourth is to look at the bearings. The fifth to look at the pilings under the water. And third mainland bridge is going to be one of the best bridges when we finish in the whole of Africa. So you wait and see how we are going to beautify it, not just to uphold the integrity of the bridge, but also the aesthetics. We're going to do it. My team, we are very committed to that.
He also speaks about some other projects in Lagos, including the Marina Kata Bridge, Liverpool, as well as Echo Bridge. The minister laments the state of these infrastructure, most of which he says have exceeded their lifespan.
Lastly, we saw the Marina shore protection. It's totally gone, and so we have to give it attention because the blue rail line is threatened. Betting on this, sea threatened. The road we built with concrete, around that marina also threatened. And so we need to do something about that.
Before leaving Lagos for his next destination, the minister extends his inspection to the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway to assess the level of work being done there. By this visit, Lagosians are expected to brace up for the challenges the rehabilitation work on the third mainland bridge portends. Hopefully, with well-planned traffic management and adherence to rules and regulations, the impact will be bearable.
Time now for some sports news. 8 games were played this evening as match day 5 of the Niger Premier Football League were concluded across the country. At the Lagos Salami Stadium, Adamasingba Ibadan host Shooting Stars rallied to beat Doma United 3-1. Rivers United ended Lobby Stars' unbeaten run this season with a 1-0 victory at the Adokie Amesiamaka Stadium in Port Harcourt. At the Mohamedou Dicko Stadium in Katsina, United defeated Sunshine Stars in a 5-goal thriller. Abia Warriors, Bayelsa United and Sporting Lagos all recorded home wins. In England, Erling Haaland scored twice as Manchester City inflicted more pain on Manchester United with a 3-0 win at Old Trafford to close within 2 points of Premier League leaders Tottenham Hotspur. Dominic Calvert-Lewin scored the only goal of the game as Everton beat West Ham 1-0 to give themselves breathing space above the English Premier League relegation zone. High-flying Aston Villa won their 12th consecutive home game, beating struggling Luton Town. Brighton and Fulham played out a 1-1 draw. Liverpool swept aside Nottingham Forest 3-0 as Diogo Jota, Darwin Núñez and Mohamed Salah were on target for Jurgen Klopp's men, who were without Luis Diaz after his parents were kidnapped in Colombia. Riyadh in Saudi Arabia could be a melting pot of the old and the new, as seen in the traditional marketplace known as the Souk Al-Zal. Our foreign affairs correspondent Amarchi Ubani was there and now reports.
Walking into the Souk Al-Zal, one's expectation is to see stalls and stalls of traditional goods on sale and expect the sales representatives to call out for clientele. But it is different here. The first set of goods are antiques, things you may or may not have seen growing up, depending on your present age. It's like a blast from the past, but I assure you, it's all carefully curated in case you wish to purchase. The market covers an area of almost 9.5 acres and dates far back as the year 1901. It is found in the Ad Diriyah neighborhood and is the oldest and biggest antique market in Riyadh. You can find almost any souvenir here at the Souk Al-Zal, from cheap treasure to special antique, from traditional clothing to sweet-smelling incense for the home. But you will need to come prepared, as in money-wise, as I found out when we decided to stop over at the Gold Souk. And how about those unique Arabian perfumes?
Yeah, it's kind of like
Is this a female perfume? Here, there is no distinction of eau de toilette, eau de parfum, or parfum, just a scent from the Arabia. This is a representation of the original Saudi Arabia, alongside the modern high-rise buildings, malls, and road networks, and a Saudi Arabia appreciated by those who never forget how the country got here. Amarachi Ubani, Channels Television News.
Thousands of people in Gaza have broken into aid depots in a worrying sign of civil disorder starting to break, and so says the UN Relief Agency for Palestinian Refugees. According to the UNRWA, people took flour and other basic supplies after storming several warehouses and distribution centers in the center and south of the territory on Saturday. And the main news again. The Nigeria Labour Congress, the NLC, has threatened to boycott a planned meeting with the federal government on Monday if the Minister of Labour, Simon Lalong, attends the meeting. That's the news at 10 tonight. Many thanks for watching. I'm Ayo Tunde Balogun. Do have a good night.